Rafiq, thank you so much for coming to us to visit us in Poland. I really do appreciate it, especially in those pandemic times. Thank you.
I appreciate you hosting me here, Sławek. First visit to Poland, so this is fantastic to see your facility, meet the team, and then kick off the Dipalo Ventures Residency.
First of all, I wanted to thank you so much for actually becoming our investors. It means a lot to me, both from the part of being engaged with you, but also from the part of you wanting us to be in this residency program and bringing this smart money that we're looking for. This is very interesting for us because among our current fundraise that we're finalizing, you're the only investors with strong hardware experience, which is very important for us because, as Elon Musk said, you can always teach an engineer how to become a finance guy, but you cannot teach a finance guy how to become an engineer. And so you're the engineer guy that knows the finance, and it's super interesting for us.
And which I guess is a good segue into why I'm even here in the middle of the pandemic. So first, it's an interesting opportunity to start traveling and meeting our portfolio companies. We did investments last year without actually meeting anybody face to face. I mean, we had some that we knew from before, the process was ongoing. With you guys, we met at Techstars Toronto that you went through, and several months of diligence, etc. But I guess the residency is what will kick off. And how was the diligence process with us?
Yeah, so actually, you were the only people that understood completely the technicalities of our products, of our architecture, of where we are at with separate, I would say, segments of our technology. Right now, we even have a certain jokes after this due diligence that if it's not Raspberry Pi, then it might work.
That's me too, yeah.
So that's one thing. And then the second thing is that, of course, some other investors that we work with are sending us their own engineers and everything, but this is always summarized in the form of a due diligence report. You're the only investor that actually perfectly knows what right questions to ask, where are the huge potential risks for actual delivery, fulfillment, things like this. And this really is super interesting, experience for us to be stopped with perfectly tailor-made question about the hardware-related issues that might come up. And so, it even means more to me when you know what are the possibilities and what are the issues with the chip shortage, companies, stopping manufacturing and everything, that you still did this leap of faith into hardware-enabled products.
So that's why we started the fund and the residency program, because not enough folks are getting into physical product, venture early enough. They're waiting for products to be in the market, to be, certainly in the hands of customers, de-risked, validated, etc. So we love that too, but we would like to help people with our founders with design and engineering, and that's what the process is about. So this technical diligence you talk about is meant to be a lot more technical and in-depth. And if we make an investment decision, then the residency is a way for us to mitigate the issues or the gaps that we found in that technical diligence. So in this case, with you guys, you already have a Gen 1 product that's in pilot, but in Gen 2, there's several opportunities around user experience, around the data science behind it, and of course in the mechanical, electrical, supply chain issues that you're going to face. So we're going to kick that off today, and hopefully in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, help you come up with a stronger plan for Gen 2. Going back to your fundraise, how's that going?
This was quite an experience because first of all, we've been raising as a North American entity. That's one thing. The second thing was that it was the very first time when we've been using convertible notes and safe notes as an investment instrument. And third of all, we've played a quite, I would say, a risky strategy, which turned out to play off well, where we wanted to extend our runway with quick safe note investments in order to negotiate a bigger investment deal using the regular equity fundraise. And overall, we've been massively oversubscribed, which is always a good thing to have, but also we've been able to actually increase our fundraise by about 1.8x of what we initially wanted to raise. So this is also a great thing to have because it means longer runaway in uncertain COVID-related times. So this is definitely...
And certainly raising money across the pond, if you will, from Europe to North America, We had dinner in Warsaw last night with some VCs that are involved with you guys. There's North American VCs, there's Polish VCs. So it's a really interesting cross-cultural, experience for everybody. And in fact, even as late as 2 weeks ago, people are saying, hey, there's an error here in this document. Let's go fix it. So I think it's a learning process for everyone involved, but the outcome is going to be good. Tell us a little bit about the product and at a high level where you are in the market now.
Car Scanner is a robot that automatically creates documentation of the used vehicles, exactly. And we're working on the 2.0 version that will detect scratches, dents, and measure paint thickness. It's aimed at used car dealerships and in future for insurance companies. So this is pretty much, what you're seeing these days here.
Yeah, and we invested in you guys basically looking at the product, the opportunity that you have in the market, as well as the strength of your team, which is really good. You're already super technical. With the residency, we're going to try to help you sort of fill gaps or mitigate the risks in Gen 2. So that's what tonight's workshop is going to be all about.
And also about the technical due diligence, I just wanted to mention that your approach is very unique because in our current fundraising, you're the only investors that are super, super focused on the technicalities. Things like fulfillment, manufacturing, architecture of hardware. Those are the things that are really, I would say, unique to Dipalo Ventures.
Tell us about your experience, with fundraising. And we met at Techstars Toronto after your demo day last year. So what has it been like?
Actually, it was fundraising during the pandemic, which is always something surprising.
Yeah.
But overall, we've been 2.8x oversubscribed into our round, which is always a great thing to have. And we've been able to get picky. And because of that, really wanted to have Dipalo Ventures in our firm because we really believe in smart value, in hardware component that you can deliver. We've been able to make a composition of the round that we have investors from US, like Dipalo Ventures. We have investors from Canada, which are bringing us some very good local knowledge as well, and investors from European Union that can add credibility to our Polish, I would say, beachhead that we have. So overall, cross-border stuff, lawyers are happy because of higher rates, but overall, I think this is a very good composition to have.
Yeah, we've come in through a safe and, you're working on the round now. That should hopefully close out fairly soon. In terms of this EU to US and Canada shift, I don't know if I should call it a shift, but EU companies raising cross-border with North American VCs coming into the EU. What do you think the trends are there?
Yeah, so from Polish perspective, VCs were not that happy about doing those corporate governance flip towards North American entities some time ago. The Polish nexus was super important for those companies, but right now, more and more VCs in Poland are starting to be okay with actually companies wanting to go for Series A fundraise as a North American jurisdiction because of higher valuations, because of more versatile investor approach, and because of a huge US market. So there's definitely more and more Polish startups and European startups thinking about relocating to US, and I can see this right now even more than earlier as a way to increase the chances for fundraise, but also to be, maybe the worst in a group of the best because everybody's aiming for US.
And one of the things the pandemic has done is we were able to invest in you without physically meeting. I met you last night for the first time face to face, right? And that's the case for many deals and many investors and founders across the world. It's interesting that we can now go beyond our borders. We can do things like a residency workshop. We're going to have people in Vancouver, in Chicago, in Krakow, Poland, all together. And I think it's going to open up opportunities for both investors and founders on both sides of geographies, right? I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we see a great opportunity in the residency program for us. First of all, to find the gaps in our manufacturing strategy that we have. Second of all, to find the gaps in our hardware architecture, meaning that maybe there's something to be optimized and some cost savings to be done around number of PCB boards that could be integrated together, serviceability after this delivered to the customer. It's always just good to have a hardware mentor that can help you out and work with your CTO and with the team and help you out find the weak spots.
And not to forget sustainability, right? Because, for example, you have lithium-ion batteries. And what is the plan for recycling that? And that's just one aspect of it. But when you look at components, when you look at manufacturing, what are the choices and trade-offs you're going to make? So we're sitting on a track that's your Gen 1 track for the robot to navigate. Tell us a little bit about how this changes in Gen 2.
The track was introduced in 1.0 generation to shorten our go-to-market time because we really wanted to start very, very quickly. And it turned out that, first of all, the process of assembling the track might be cumbersome for some customers that want to go from one location to the other, and also that it takes way too much space around the car for some customers. And so the Gen 2, with completely different computer vision system, is going to require only 1 feet around the car, meaning that it can now work in tight spaces, but also, most importantly, it can autonomously go around the car, perform documentation, and then go to the other car. So there's a parking lot with 20 cars. All those 20 cars can be automatically processed one by one over the night without any human intervention.
And so your products are doing the scanning around the car, inside the car, as well as under the chassis.
Exactly,
so that's fantastic.
That's what we're working on right now.
And so you have a thermography scanner as well. Do you want to talk about that?
Actually, in order to approach the insurance market, which is like the next stage in our go-to-market after used car dealerships, we've discovered after speaking with a number of insurance companies that paint thickness measurement is super important. It can tell insurance company whether they should pay for those damaged doors, like for brand new doors or for doors copied and pasted from a completely different car. This is a tool that can massively limit the fraud in insurance agencies, but in order for it to work, we need to apply some complex technology that enables us to heat the body panels of the car and then analyze its thermal response.
And I saw a little bit of that today. It's super, super interesting. In terms of the residency, what are your expectations? What are you looking to get out of it?
So first of all, we're super happy to brainstorm about our architecture, whether there are things that we can simplify around number of PCBs, protocols that are boards communicating with each other, weak points in manufacturing, weak points in fulfilling an order of 1,000 robots, let's say, in like finite amount of time. And last but not least, also things around data science, because we do have 3 machine learning engineers right now on board, but we have to generate those data sets as soon as possible, and analytics behind that is super important.
Even the user experience around the thermography data.
Of course,
that was something that looked
also
interesting. Yeah. So you ready to do a residency?
Yeah,
Shall we go?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.